welcome. First of all, I'm very pleased to join this session. It's my first time communicating with people from Azerbaijan. Although I have a cousin, they visited Azerbaijan last year and they told me it was very beautiful. My name is Hassan Noura. I'm from Syria. I live in Kuwait. I'm an assistant professor in economics and entrepreneurship at Australian college called Box Hill College. I've been in this college for 7 years. I teach mostly microeconomics topics in entrepreneurship such as marketing, management, strategic management, and so forth. So we will start, I will give you like a new concept. It was very interesting to me before. Let me share my screen with you. So here, nothing is shared. So Ms. Nergis, I'm trying to share the screen. I'm supposed to see the share screen.
Oh yes, let me 1 second.
You need to put me, I think, a presenter.
Presenter. Me caption your presenter. Can you do it now?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Can you see the screen?
Yes.
Okay, very good. So probably some of you haven't heard about the new concept, charter city. I will give you some ideas about it. Probably you can help me later on, give me some new ideas. We can have more discussions about it. The title of the presentation is about charter cities in developing countries as a solution to fight poverty and corruption. Paul Romer, probably you haven't heard about Paul Romer before. He's a Nobel Prize winner in 2018 for his work in growth or economic growth. Basically, he contributed to the equation of economic growth. He had a better explanation why we have some countries poor and some countries more developed. And the main idea about Paul Romer is that technology play an important role in this. Probably you know about Robert Solow. Paul Romer built his equation based on Robert Solow. So if we can have refresh our mind about Robert Solow equation, if we assume Y is the output that we have, and usually it is measured by GDP, it is a function of physical capital such as land, money, and machines, plus human capital, which is usually measured by education multiplied by labor, and plus the ideas that can increase the productivity of capital and labor. Paul Romer argued that we can have a better explanation about between poor and rich countries if we have technology as endogenous growth for this equation. I will try to offer to suggest a few economists who also contributed to economic growth, such as Douglas North. These scholars, such as Paul Romer, Solow, they were part of my PhD thesis back in 2014. So when I started to review my literature, these people or scholars, they were very important in the literature discussing about economic growth. So I suggest also to Google or to read the literature about Douglas North. He's basically discussed the institutional economy, how institutions can. What I recommend also, or what I suggest, that in future, probably a couple of guys will win the Nobel Prize. Some of them, such as David Odrich, he has a very interesting theory about knowledge spillover. And also we have Deron Asimoglo, originally from Turkey, and he's now a professor at MIT. Also, he has a very interesting book. You can write it down. It's called "Why Nations Fail." Why Nations Fail. Very interesting book. In the book, he discussed the history of nations and why institutions are important for the development of nations. The last scholar probably I recommend is Zoltan Ozkan. He's probably discussed, he has more contributions more into entrepreneurial economics, and also he included institutions in his theory. So probably these guys, David Odrich, Deron Asimoglo, and Zoltan Ozkan, one of them in future will have the Nobel Prize for their great contributions to economic growth. So now let's start by the concept of charter city. Charter city, actually, it's a simple idea, but it could be very useful. So imagine, you are in Azerbaijan and you have an empty land, and this land, there will be, you get an offer from a developed country. This developed country, they will offer to rent this land and build their own city on it. And this developed country will come, let's assume you have, for example, Canada. They will come to Azerbaijan. They will tell you, we would like to rent this land and we will build a city on it. And we will have our own rules and legislations and business rules and commercial trade rules. What is the benefit of this land? Basically, one of the conditions is that people who live in Azerbaijan, they have the freedom to move back and forth to this land. At the same time, they have to follow with the new rules that the city will have. That's why it's called charter city. And if you go back and Google about charter city, in Paul Romer named it charter city. It's because of it was historically, there was a state in USA, it's Pennsylvania. They had like a contract or a charter between people where they offered new rules in that state. So this is from where the name came from, charter city. So what is the benefit from this charter city? The idea is that people, they will have the chance or the freedom or the option to move back and forth to this new city. So, for example, if the original country, they have some bureaucracy, they have some, for example, high corruption. It's not easy to open a business. For example, if you want to start up a business, it may take 2 to 3 months. The new city, because it is run or managed by a developed country, such as, for example, Canada, Australia, or whatever. In this case, they have new rules that maybe allow you to open your business very, faster. We will have more investment, FDI, foreign direct investment, because of its stability, and because the reputation of the developed country. Historically, you can think about Hong Kong. As you know, Hong Kong was colonized by UK for 99 years. But if we want to put politics aside, we just want to focus on economics, we see that Hong Kong was more developed than China because Hong Kong, they had better rules than China at that time. And institutions in Hong Kong were or still more effective and more efficient than the original or the main country, which is China. And the reason is because of the better institutions and better rules. The idea basically started back in about 2010. Paul Romer, he started the idea on TED Talk. If you go back to TED Talk and Google about Paul Romer, you will see he started the idea back in 2000, I think 2009, 2010. People in Honduras, they like the idea. And they asked Paul Romer to run this charter city in a place called Amapala. Amapala here. This is Honduras, Nicaragua. We have Guatemala here, Belize, El Salvador. This is very in America, close to America. This is the Caribbean Sea, if you have some knowledge about geography. So Honduras people, they suggested for Paul Romer to run this city, Amapala. However, they did a mistake. As I told you earlier, the charter city should be run by the developed country. So, for example, if we ask Canada to run this place, Canada will run this new place. Honduras people, they suggested that they will have their own committee from the same government in Honduras to run the new city. And what was the result? The result was there was no transparency. Corruption was the same. Even Paul Romer, he was one of the days when he woke up, he read on the news that the government in Honduras signed a contract with different companies without his knowledge about these contracts. So he assumed that these contracts should be corrupt. There is no transparency, even though he was, let's say, the godfather or the chairman of this committee. So after 1 year of this attempt, Paul Romer resigned. Although still the project till now it is working, but we don't know the results. Nobody did a study about this charter city. The charter city is a dynamic concept. What I mean by dynamic concept, that there is no standard charter city that we have this standard, we have these rules, and we can use these rules to have this new charter city. China, they have their own charter city concept. As you know, China, they are trying to build, they have this big project, One Belt, One Road, or originally it was called the Silk Road, historically. They are trying to build different cities in different countries, and these cities, it will be run by the Chinese government. Basically, what they are trying is to make the trade easier for Chinese people and also easier for have a better trade with other countries. I'm not sure if it's going to pass by Azerbaijan, but probably since it's passing through Turkey, probably it will pass by also Azerbaijan, which will be a very good investment for Azerbaijan economy. Another concept that can be applied for charter city can be applied on refugees crisis. As you know, refugees, they have no home, they have no place where they usually host countries. They don't offer for refugees a good opportunities to work. People suggested we should have what's called refugees cities or refugees nation. Well, what they meant by this is by offering a city for refugees where they can have a freedom to work, and we can have some investment factories. We can have more freedom to refugees to work on it. Although it is controversial, this idea, and I'm doing some research about it, but it's an innovative idea that probably could help refugees to have a better place to live. To conclude about charter city, Dr. Mark Lotter said that charter cities, we can discuss about it in 3 levels. From political level, we can see that charter city politically, politicians were interested about this new concept, very interested about it. Beside Honduras, Madagascar, which is a country in Africa, they were very interested, and they were almost signed on the contract with Paul Romer to start it. However, they had a COP and they couldn't start this project. But generally speaking, the politicians were very interested about it, still are very interested. This concept is developed by time, and they are trying to offer new rules and new ideas about it. Even Paul Romer, he recently he said there is no need for a developed country to come in and rent a place in a developing country. He said probably the same developing country can run the place and have their own different rules in a different city. And we had an example about China when they built a city or they developed a city called Shenzhen city. They didn't ask a country to run it, but they changed the rules there, and they changed the structure. They had a structural change. They moved from agriculture business to manufacture business, and now probably Shenzhen is one of the most developed cities in the world. Also, to build a very good charter city, you need a strong infrastructure. So you need contractors, strong companies who can start the business, because basically you are renting an empty land, or the infrastructure is very poor, and so you need to build it from scratch. The last thing is the gradual change or the gradual strategy. What I mean by gradual strategy is that build a charter city, you will see countries that they are not very interested to invest in this business. 5 billion, 10 billion, 50 billion. Probably you should start with the minimum, a concept called minimum viable product. This concept usually we teach in entrepreneurship course. What we mean by this concept is that usually we have a product, a new product. You try to offer this product in the market at the minimum cost and get the feedback from customers and see if customers like this product. If it was attractive, you can see there is somehow good sales about this product with the minimum cost. It means that in the future, if you can invest in this product, you can have a better sales and you can have a better market share. The same idea can be applied at macro level. So even charter cities, you can invest of all, for example, in factory businesses. You can invest in infrastructure. You can, but later on, once there you have labor, you have production, you have some companies who invested in this charter city. Probably other companies, other nations will be interested to invest more in this new city. This is an example of Shenzhen. Shenzhen, as we mentioned earlier, it's a city in China, one of the most important cities in China. China, when they invested in this city, they changed the rules of the city to make it more a market economy. And probably you know about the difference between central economy and market economy, more open to other countries, easy to trade, entrepreneurs have the freedom to open their businesses and so forth. Now let's move on to the next. We would like to focus more on Azerbaijan country. We have here, as you can see, Azerbaijan. This is Azerbaijan, and we have here another city. As yesterday, I have a small discussion with Ms. Nargis about another area here. Probably this area we can use charter city in it, since it is a little bit separated, and the population is small. Probably countries are interested to invest in this small area. In general, Azerbaijan is upper middle income country. Probably you know about this. It is 81st richest economy. About 10 million people, inhabitants, live in Azerbaijan. The GDP per capita 4,100, and the purchase power parity is about 18,000 in 2000, according to 2018 data. The growth, unfortunately, is not very high, 0.1% over the past 5 years. And here, this is what we are going to discuss more. Since you are interested, you are studying macroeconomics, we are interested to talk about international trade. This index is very important for international trade. It's called Economic Complexity Index. Economic Complexity Index. What do you mean by this index? We will discuss it in the next slide. But as you can see here, the rank of Azerbaijan is relatively very among the countries. The ranking of Azerbaijan is not very good situation because they are exporting oil, so they don't have diversification of export. So what I meant here by Economic Complexity Index, this is done by what's called Atlas of Economic Complexity. Atlas of Economic Complexity. The founder of this is Professor Ricardo Hausmann. I was lucky to meet him a few years back. He visited Kuwait and gave a lecture about this. He's from Venezuela. He was a Minister of Economy of Venezuela a few years back, before the crisis happened recently. And he's the founder of this, what's called Economic Lab, or Growth Economic Lab at Harvard University. He established this unit, and the main goal of this unit is to explore global trade flows across markets, track these dynamics over time, and discover new growth opportunities for every country. And later on, I will share these slides with Ms. Nargis. You can go back and follow with the source, and it's very interesting website. So what is the main idea of this website? Is to track the export diversification of each country and try to different strategies for different customized strategy based on the country abilities and capabilities. Here is Azerbaijan. If you go to the website, you will see that they give you a comprehensive data about what's called export basket in 2017. The total export of Azerbaijan is about $20 billion. As you can see, most of the export is based on the petroleum oils, crude oil, about 65%. You have somehow a good percentage about travel and tourism. As I told you, my cousin, they visited Azerbaijan because of its reputation in tourism. However, we see little investment in ICT, in technology, transport, and some, you see here some investment in agriculture. The yellow color, if you go back here down, you will see, go to the website, you will see each one, which industry does belong. This here, it is the purple color belongs, for example, for the minerals or for chemicals. So Azerbaijan exported products about 23 billion, as you can see here. Top 3 export destinations, mainly they export to Italy, and mainly to Italy, 27%, to Turkey about 7%, and to Germany about 6%. So as you can see here, generally speaking, we see here the main export is about petroleum and petroleum derivatives, such as petroleum gases and so forth. If you want to study Azerbaijan from the growth in global market share, we see the main growth of Azerbaijan is about minerals, as you can see here. This is the highest thing. The lowest growth in the global market share is, we see here, services, electronics, machinery, vehicles. They don't contribute much to it. The highest growth for Azerbaijan in minerals, and the second one in metals. So as you can see here, a key source of economic growth, this process reallocates economic activity. Azerbaijan export growth in the past 5 years has been driven by minerals. Azerbaijan's growth in minerals has largely been by good luck. What I mean by good luck, it depends on the demand. As you can see here, after the economic crisis, here is the economic crisis where there was a demand on minerals. Later on, there was a decrease, and still, fluctuates based on the demand in the market. So here the growth of the export or export growth depends on the demand in the market. And this is usually by economists, they call it, it's a good luck. Are you you have a good luck or bad luck? And as you know now, we are in a bad luck situation. We have a corona pandemic. At the same time, we have low prices and low demand on oil. So it is two hits at the same time, which is really painful for, especially for oil-based economies, countries such as Azerbaijan and GCC countries, Gulf countries such as Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, and so forth. So what is the solution here? What is the strategy that we should have for Azerbaijan in near future? According to this website, they offer top 50 products based on strategy approach. The strategy that we should have in Azerbaijan in order to diversify the economy, increase our export is called strategic bets approach. What I mean by bets approach here, some of the sectors with high potential for new diversification in Azerbaijan, we should start step by step. We should start small steps in order to increase the diversification or to have a larger diversification in Azerbaijan. If we want, if you go to the website, you will notice that it is categorized based on global growth in the past 5 years, global size, product complexity, opportunity gain, and nearby distance. What do you mean by nearby distance? It means that this is the close. Whenever we see here more stars, it means that Azerbaijan, they have more capabilities to diversify its economy and produce this product. So here you have the product name, such as minerals here, slag, ash, and so forth. This is in brown color, which means it is part of the minerals. And we have here the yellow color, which is part of agriculture. And here we have like a darker yellow color, ceramic building bricks, which is part of building material. So if we, for example, if we talk about slag, ash, and residuals containing metals, part of minerals, we see that there is a big possibility to Azerbaijan to produce it. They have high capacity. They have the know-how, very close for it, because about the know-how, as you know. And there is high global growth in it. So there is a match market here. Since you have the capabilities and there is a high demand in the market, probably, and the complexity of the product is not very high, probably you can diversify your economy by exporting more of this material. We have also malt extract as well. You see the global growth about 32%. If we sum them up, as you see here, all these products, if we sum them up, probably if you have like about 7 billion, 20 billion, 1 billion, 4 billion, probably the market will be in total about 100 billion market. So what is the strategy that a country such as Azerbaijan should do for this? They should build an ecosystem, or they should have institutions that would motivate or give incentives for entrepreneurs to work on these products. So for example, they would say, okay, we will have lower taxes for entrepreneurs who would like to export these products. We will try to join international fairs in China and in Europe, for example. And by the way, if you go to the right, if you press on any product, they will tell you who are the main countries that import this product. So for example, if you go, for example, for water, probably you will see, for example, GCC country. They are a big importer. Or maybe, for example, when you talk about melons and papayas, which is part of agriculture, maybe you will see Europe. They are the biggest or the largest countries that import this kind of material. So the nice thing about this website, even they tell you what are the market that you should target, what are the market that you should focus on, and join the international fairs. So institutions in Azerbaijan should provide incentives for entrepreneurs to produce this kind of products, and eventually, what is the result? That we will have more diversification, we will have more export, And again, we will have a very strong economy, and you don't have to depend largely on exporting oil. You will depend less on exporting oil. And in this case, you shouldn't have what's called the good luck. So your country will not depend on the demand on the market. In this case, whenever you have a crisis, oil crisis, at least you can depend on other products to export. So in summary, Azerbaijan here, economic structure, Azerbaijan complexity has worsened three positions in the past decade. So that's the indicator here is not very good. In the past 5 years, the only 5 new products were added in the last, even not 5, 15 years. So that is not a gain. We should have more products. As you can see here, in the next 5 years, for example, you can have about more than 20 products where you can diversify your economy. And again, for future dynamics, based on what we have right now, we see that Azerbaijan is expected to grow only about 1.5% per year over the next 10 years. The best strategy for Azerbaijan right now is what's called strategic bets approach. With new nearby opportunities, growth can be pursued by making longer jumps into strategic areas with future diversification potential. So that's pretty much of it. Inshallah, you are welcome to ask questions. Before we end up, if you'd like to follow me on Twitter, usually I post some good information about economics and some about administration, management science. You are welcome in my page. Thank you very much.